Okay, where to begin? First off, sorry for intrusively privately publishing this privately on your channel. Definitely not publicly. Do not share this without my permission, and do not publish this whatsoever unless something tragic happens to myself or JP, my man Jeremiah, because this is a dead man switch, and I feel that my hand has been forced to move since that myself and Jeremiah achieved over the last few weeks with the work we have been doing um, privately developing over the last 3 years together, as well as the fact that while we were in a discussion in a private, somewhat secure video chat, it was made known to us that someone had backdoored in and were listening, and immediately thereafter ending recording my computers, um, my video cameras and microphones were activated remotely by someone, and that JP's experienced the same things. And this is to top off, this is most likely different actors, most likely state sponsored, but then the Chinese state sponsored actors that hacked the Google Drive there a few months ago, and everybody's computers and systems that had then accessed it. So yes, and what am I talking about? I have uh, indeed opened Pandora's box, and there is no going back. But it's not just me, it's the entire network and group of independent researchers and engineers and inventors that we're all working with and doing their own things, and how I've connected lots of it together in the understandings of my own work, as well as now why am I so paranoid or concerned? And that comes down to what I've actually developed, done privately, and mostly kept to myself over the last 10 years. And it is several different, extremely disruptive technologies and processes, each on their own, which have had previous discoverers of similar methods that published and developed it, and it publicly all being killed and silenced over. What am I talking about? Okay, discovery number one that I made, one of the very first ones, and well, essentially what Stan Meyer did, but this is something completely different that I've discovered and engineered the processes of, um, with many levels of generations of technology being applied into the engineering of the reactions that you're seeing here, but that it is magnitudes of levels of breaking Faraday's law of electrolysis and the amount of energy in to the amount of hydrogen produced. What you are looking at here is non-stop hydrogen production. It's in a jar that is just basic salt water, okay? Literally, um, you can use distilled water and table salts or sea salt, basic sodium salt, for what you're looking at right here. And there's actually zero electricity going into this reaction currently. It is producing monatomics. It's producing atomic hydrogen on an exponential level here with zero electricity going in, okay? And it's the red state hydride matter that you see on this triple solenoid coil, as well as the red state hydride copper and aluminum particles on the bottom there. And what this has to do with is the charge differential between the copper coil in the red state, active red state of uh, being formerly an anode on a reaction with a small amount of electricity, but then removing it, putting it into a neutral reaction or a neutral solution, sorry, electrolyte. And the top, what you see is black and disintegrating and bubbling like crazy, being aluminum, and that it's forced in the reaction, forced a essentially super reaction from charge trying to reach neutralization, and that what you're witnessing is the water H2O molecules being ripped apart as the red state is forced to repolarize into a cathode state and reverse the seven or six. There's seven total, and actually there is some pink state crystal in that copper too. So it is actually all seven states that it's then reversing back to, of adding the nano layers on, which have to do with oxygen and oxides forming on the copper as it stabilizes from an anode into a neutral electrode and cathode, and that the new sacrificial anode in this reaction is that the here's B number two that there's not a lot of information for a very good reason, and specifically why I always hesitate to talk about this subject and what we're looking at, the potential that that is actually either deuterium or tritium. I know that I've produced and have reactions that produce vast amounts of both, different levels of original, what is the word I am looking for, as it destabilizes, breaks down, and you decay. There we go. Decay rates originally very fast on it, and then developed and through experiments. See, this is all I must state and put emphasis on the fact all my work is experimental material sciences, okay? And the electrochemical reactions and how it takes in heat, electricity, producing plasmas, producing neutral chemical states, as well as electrical, positive and negative, and magnetic, south, north, essentially opposite poles, states of these different nanomaterials. And that when this reaction of forced anode sacrifice of the aluminum foil with its massive, huge, but very thin layered structure of foil compared to the triple coil copper in the crystalline and red cold but hot energetic state. Okay, so this is essentially a superconductive state in this red state, and it is the metal itself is the outside compounds are extremely acidic, okay, as acidic reactive chemically as you can possibly imagine, and very unstable. Thus, when put into the neutral electrolyte, triggering the electrochemical reaction, forcing the aluminum metal to foil with this massive surface area to instantly turn into a sacrificial reaction state of this triple metal copper solenoid that also has a triple electromagnetic field being generated from it, and the active both electrical differential charge from the top of the coil going outside, just outside of the salt water into the air, as well as the electrochemical reactions of this acidity hydride nano layering on the outside of the copper, reacting and ripping apart the formerly neutral salt water there, and grabbing all of the oxygen molecules, turning into oxide compound nano layers that then form on the outside of the copper wires and coil there, as it reverses the different chemical reaction stages of getting to neutrality, and then adding additional nano layers of oxides on as hydrides as a cathode, that it is now put into that position of its exact reverse polarity slash charge from the original reaction that I had hooked it up to and removed it to, placing and creating this new reaction. This is also why you see huge amounts of hydrogen from every area of here, from the bottom with the red hydride. So this also is increasing the reaction, because you have here and here during these chemical reactions. You have white monoatomic aluminum from the water being super saturated with the ionic aluminum being eaten away from that sacrificial anode aluminum foil right there that we're seeing, that's bubbling more than any others, with large bubbles as well as the medium, and then all of this blurry stream going up here that you see behind the glue outer remnants from the label of the jar. But on the inside, you see these streams of straight white, and that's atomic hydrogen nonstop coming off, and it does it as it forms. But that's one of the hydrogen reactions, and that's pure atomic hydrogen, thus mass producing, leaving a second hydrogen atom particle off of each electrolysis reaction of the oxides being taken into chemical compound, depositing on the anode side, or sorry, this new cathode side of the coil that was formerly an anode, and being then deposited that other H hydrogen molecule as a solid onto the new remnants of the sacrificial anode. And that is why you're getting the isotopes, because the atomic hydrogen, all isotope molecules of that are the perfect symmetry. So any leftover isotopes exponentially increase the amount of them thus giving you the deposits of this most likely deuterium or tritium in this case, and that there's several other different colors, shades, and deposits of what I believe to be both in some cases tritium, in some cases deuterium. But because of the overly disruptive technology that's being able to mass cheaply produce and stabilize those particular hydrogen molecule isotopes that yeah, right, so don't it's what enriches uranium, plutonium, and everything else, right? It's what potentially I believe could even see. I don't even want to talk about the negative weapon potential because there's so much more positives, and that also I am not giving any information away on the actual processes of stabilization in this particular dead man switch and proof of concept and showing of what's actually going on the material science side of what I have figured out and what monatomics are, the pure white single atom. They're in a low shell orbital energy solid state of plasma. Okay, so that thus their fourth outer valence shell of electron bonding and chemical and even yeah ion ion ionization. There we go. Sorry for that. The ionization ability of those pure metal element single atom particles is energetically exponentially easier to activate and keep active activated and sustained reactions when in this neutral state, but there's so much more to it than that, especially when tying into both the hydrogen hot um, exothermic particle electric field reaction particles and equation of things to the opposite side of oxygen magnetic field, endothermic, cold, chemical, electrical reactions, and how it ties into phase state transmutation of elements and the ability to go into nuclear mass manipulation in isotopes, particles, and molecules, and exponentially more. But that is extremely valuable proprietary information and processes that I'm in the process of writing patents with in conjunction with Jeremiah Pop that I am not going to disclose and give away at this moment. But the overall understanding that I'm giving here should be enough to fully comprehend and see what I'm talking about and the relevance of what you're looking at. There's just right there completely economic disruptive technologies and processes, especially when it comes to the lies of what the system and grid technologies are designed originally intentionally to be inefficient and are literally capped at inefficiencies, so that really when taking a look and understanding it all, you have to reverse engineer back through all of electrical engineering and understand and learn the difference between hot electricity and cold electricity, different. Um, there's so much that's I will get into it more in a later additional full continuing part say series of my Dead Man Switches and eventual what will I'm in the process. We are in the process. There's a lot of us in this, and of a non destructive unveiling and releasing of disruptive technologies in a manner that does not cause chaos and can swiftly and quickly bring on a worldwide transition and transmutation into a much healthier functioning non fighting for scarcity world of abundance where the lies can finally be removed and true science and engineering and technology be applied. But for instance, it's the fact of Faraday's electrolysis law. There's literally no electricity going in whatsoever. And look at all of this sustained hydrogen. And that's not even including when you add in the resonant hydrogen frequency acoustically and like uh, there's so many implications and aspects, and then when you actually also add an additional it's in fact water powered cars. There's so many of them, but even more so the real disruptive technology that can be transitioned in a peaceful, healthy manner, but completely destroys the CO2 greenhouse gas BS, especially the current taxation on it, like on the mass public, like just it's such scams and ridiculousness because it you water powered hybrid cars you literally need two mason jars like of like probably 4 liters 3 liters in size with a saline solution attached to your alternator fed into your fuel pump or injector into your combustion engine with your gasoline, and you have a hybrid car for less than $1,000. That you know 2/3, 3/4 of your former CO2 emissions now turned into literal H2O steam but well the tritium and deuterium, but we'll get into that more in a later episode with more evidence and pictures. But what else have I discovered and done? Well, myself and Jeremiah both repeating the process 10 years, myself ahead of CERN, and they just recently accidentally discovering how to transmutate lead into gold. And myself and Jeremiah both have achieving this on our own in the past, both accidentally. And then from that, learning about it and the different transmutational states of elements and processes of Sir Isaac Newton's alchemy and the teachings of Mehran Keshi, was able to figure out how to also get tungsten into the crystalline state. And what both myself and Jeremiah witnessed in our own processes of this was the phase shift decay of the lead back, or the gold back into lead, because we did not stabilize the process in the right manner. Okay, equation, we'll say for now, because again, this is a ridiculous uh, disruptive technology. If literally turns tungsten into gold as well as lead into gold, but now figured out the process of stabilization and a reaction where it can turn both into gold in one reaction with minimal energy in. And recently, literally within the last couple of weeks, CERN coming out stating they accidentally somehow turned lead into gold, and that I predict theirs might actually have a solid or much longer half-life and decay rate if not stabilized, because of the exponential amounts of energy and fields while the process of the phase shift transmutation happened and was done. So it might actually be stable, but they might also witness it decay. I don't know. They need to publish on it. But the fact being, myself and Jeremiah, I, in one of our recent breakthrough private stream talk discussions and experiments, was able to stabilize other metals that were starting the phase shift that he had transmutated from one metal element into another with various processes, one being the acoustic energy wave transmutation of aluminum into iron, and able to do a process that I suggested that instantly reversed the decay and restabilized as the iron back from the monoatomic aluminum that it was phase shifting back into. So that right there might give a little hint in the process, but you have to be a super adept electrochemist, alchemist to know what the heck I'm talking about on that regard. So I'm not giving it all away, but that was pretty much the same amount of information Mehran Keshi, or less than actually, when Mehran originally suggested the process of the lead into gold reaction, and that yes, it is easily and cheaply reproducible, but stabilizing it and preventing a decay phase shift back, that's the trick. And well, even if I'm dead, I ain't giving that alchemical, uh, well, golden adept process away that easily. But just know that it's real, and I'm doing the setting up the experiment process to produce it and do it all over again and again. That is now three absolute disruptive technologies that many have been murdered over, documented, killed over and over again throughout the last century. Literally, like, it's no laughing matter. And that the biggest breakthroughs of all that I've been saying, speculating for a long time, is the quantum material that I know I'm producing, that not just the monoatomic neutral particles are, but also the hydrogen uh, high energy heat electrical field particles are, but they're also extremely highly reactive, so good luck stabilizing them without what I have in here and have learned to master the processes of, along with the parallel, inversed, blue, cold, endothermic, oxygen, magnetic, um, polarized particles as well, and that those are three together that make up a major part of quantum circuitry, the literal nanoparticles that they use millions of in combinations with each other in series, right? With um, uh, insulate dielectric. What the hell? Well, it's actually better that I'm not saying it because I need to get this actually patented and should not be giving it all away so easily because it's only a matter of time that those listening, like the Chinese and potential Americans and any other groups, actually figure out with the amount of information I'm putting in here uh, how to actually produce full quantum nanomaterials and the circuitry with it, which I have fully discovered and lay claim to, and going to be filing patents to. But they are actively trying to steal it, so I can't give all the information in this right now. And that is enough on that. So what are we looking at on screen here? That is an aerogel. That is not frozen. That is not water. That is a droplet of pure see-through, but this is aluminum, and you can actually see the crystallization forms, and that is 100% a gel. Another technology metamaterial I have mastered the production of, and it's that I produce all of these elements, particles, and metamaterials of superconducting quantum processors and nanochips. Literally, this is the stuff that makes all of them that I have developed and processed into an industrial scale of efficiencies, the how to manufacture this in all the different elements of pure state metals through simple electrolysis method processes, and it truly the power, the key, the real Pandora's box that has been opened, that I have opened, and fully in opening it, engineering it, and understanding the true material science aspects of it all is why this is Pandora's box, and that the true power of water electronuclear phase shift reactions that happen within it is where literally nature does everything, and all technology, higher technologies come out of, and the all the cold fusion, all the cold electricity, all the quantum stuff, but also all nuclear reactive, everything simply and just a matter of tuning, engineering, and setting up dynamic systems of utilizing the magic of the breakdown of the ionic uh, bonds, the valence shells, as well as the covalent bonds, and essentially also atomic bonds that are all able to be phase shifted when these elements are in these specific unique nano lattice structures, crystalline structures, particle structure, plasmid structure, and then there's so many different terms in modern classified science and whatnot of these different particles, plasmids, and like, and it just gets confusing, and I don't want to use the wrong words and accidentally debunk myself. But here you're looking at the aluminum aerogel that I've made out of silver, that I've also made out of zinc, that I've also made out of copper, that I've also made out of iron, and I've also made all of those metals into the white states, the blue states, the red states, the black states, the gray states. What's a gray state, right? There's different types and different crystal formations. There's literally thousands of different nanoparticle crystals and plasmids and molecules and isotopes that I have mastered, all within electrochemical chemistry. And here you have what should be CuH3 and CuO or O2, copper oxide and copper trihydride, I believe. But you see that there is a charge separation, and that half of the salt water's going into the hydride and half going into the oxide reactions. A key part of understanding engineering this material science of nanotechnology and making the particles. Here we got some aerogels, we've got the pure monoatomics, we've got the nano solid layers, as well as plasmid clusters of the monoatomics and nanos. We've got nanotube structure formations, crystalline compound formations. Here is one of my reactors, sealed for a year at this point. The metal's in the full red and pink active states. Created a dual charge separation differential between the bottom triple solenoid and the top. And sorry, there's actually another insulated wire there connecting all the way through, or uninsulated actually in that one, going through the center of bottom and I believe connects to the top, but it goes out of the water, but the water is fully sealed in this jar. No energy going in. It was steadily producing hydrogen nonstop for a year while simultaneously depositing and producing pure monoatomic copper. And it's part of this electrochemical phase shift, element state phase shifting, okay, from solids and liquids into gases and single atom nano solid low energy plasma state metal element particles, aka monoatomic elements, also known as ORMUS, also known as GANs. Oops, wrong way. Here we have red state, aluminum red state, silver red state, copper red state, yellow state, blue state, all different hydrogen oxide compounds that are these different quantum energy states. I'm giving more of it away. These are the alchemical transmutational metal states of elements by Sir Isaac Newton and other ancient alchemists. It is cold fusion technology. It is superconducting matter technology. It is nano particle production technology, and it is another completely destructive, aka revolutionary breakthrough technology and science that I have fully decoded, rediscovered, and literally mastered the processes of. And one of the major reasons I am so paranoid, because literally it's what China is missing and looking for to get their superconducting processors into quantum state circuitry and processing, and not losing all of their encoded information on the electrons and um, on the particles within. I don't want to get my words too mixed up in explaining the quantum spintronics as well as orbitronics that all go into the actual technology of quantum processors and encoding of information. But yeah, I fully understand it, despite the levels of classification as the AI keeps giving me and feeding me nonstop articles of what is all allowed to be publicated, and then putting it together with my own work and the rest of it. Yeah. You're looking at a bunch of red state as well as blue state, and um, what are the other disruptive technologies? There's several more, but I've been going for about 45 minutes and I am getting tired. Need to get my rest. Need to maintain and not go insane despite all that is going on. And well, the real and absolutely wild breakthrough technology revelations and discussions. Okay, yes. So another part I do have to include and discuss in understanding how we got to this point, how I got to this point. Um, having to reverse engineer electrical engineering, and learning truly what cold electricity is versus hot electricity, how hot current amperage is by design inefficiently and wastefully engineered into all of our technology and modern electrical grid, and it's absolutely insane. And when you truly grasp all of those aspects and how it all works, and like duty cycles, and how you're spinning the electron particles to then be vibrating on specific harmonic waves and frequencies, and then operating on the difference of AC DC. And I also don't want to go too far into all of that on this specific Dead Man Switch, because yet again, that is another complete disruptive technology that a lot of people have been killed and silenced over the years, and that, yeah, it's absolutely real. It's absolutely mind blowing, the level of inefficiencies that are engineered into our actual electrical systems and workings and devices and technology, and that, like, how they claim, oh, free energy is impossible, over unity is impossible, but it's like, you're not, the energy is not coming from nowhere. You're literally, the majority of these free energy electrical devices and technologies are why like to call it over efficiency. It's just re-efficiency, because the current models that we're all using are so wasteful with the resistance and heat energy loss that is designed into these systems, compared to the low actual energy need and like loss, especially through transmission. And like it's insane between cold electricity and like the exponential levels of magnitude of how wasteful our current stuff is, that it's like it's so easy to get a 200, 300, 400x gain just within like engineering the current technology into its like more efficient, more intelligent manners, but that it's done intentionally to scam humanity and essentially debt enslave us all. But that again, one of the major uh, disruptive breakthrough technology understandings that get a lot of people killed and silenced, or people go insane when they get frustrated when they actually figure it out, and uh, how bad it is. But for instance, here's a prime example. So literally, there's like regulation, I believe in the US, where solar panels can't be like built, and the inverter converters and production system have a higher efficiency than 20% or 22%, something like that. Okay. So it's like by law, you have to, the technology you build on your solar panel has to only be allowed to have a 20% output. So just by like, if the laws didn't regulate it and the manufacturers were allowed to utilize the full potential of your solar panel devices, you would be getting a 400% gain, a 4x right there. Okay, so like it's like that's not fucking coming out of nowhere. That's literally by design racketeering, structuring, and then lying to the masses and enslaving the minds of all students, saying that, oh, you can't violate the second law of thermodynamics, except that they don't tell you that that law is written for a closed single circuit, not an open dynamic system that has like another antenna bringing like some charge and energy in, or like you know a million other things, radiant heat, freaking chemical electrical energy, uh there's so many. I'm just not gonna go into it. And that's just the open system aspects, and not even, or open circuit, like engineering, electrical engineering, and the difference between well, it violating a law and the law not applying to what you're doing. And that, yes, such devices as the Don Smith generator, collecting radiant energy through plasma arc and then being able to rectify it into the usable. And see, here's another big part of the scam. What the revolutions per minute and the what do I said it earlier, but it'll come back to me. But anyways, it's like the Hertzian rate, or the cycles, the duty cycles. Okay, so that to rectify usable electric current in our hot energy system, you then have to like spin it around, like so DC current, static current, all these different cold electrical charges to rectify it into being on the same usable harmonic wavelength frequency as what the grid electric frequency um, wavelength is at, you have to then spin it a whole bunch of times to get it into coherence to then work, where then that again a major intentional, most likely hijack of Tesla's work. And I don't know. See, this is where we really have to go back to the Tesla Edison and take another look at what was really going on. And maybe Tesla first unwittingly um, took out Edison's free energy system uh, with his plan of the Wardenclyffe Towers and delivering a mass free AC energy system, only to be hijacked by JP Morgan, amongst others, that shut him down, and his Westinghouse patents, I believe, and how it went into the modern electric grid energy control system. Okay, and that there again you have several exponential gains of usable electricity when engineered properly, and our technology, electronics devices made better. And this is where China has actually taken the massive lead in. For instance, all why how are their little drones, how are the quadcopters so efficient with the amount of battery to, well, it goes back to Tom Bearden not breaking the dipole. They're DC magnetic motors, and that you're not freaking creating this resistance breakdown of the field and the energy collapsing and having to be re-put in several times in full magnitudes of losses per cycle, compared to the DC pulse magnetic single nonstop pulsing, that uniform harmonic um, cycle that the DC motor goes into, all right, and giving you exponential better efficiency. And if you're following what I'm saying, as most intelligent people in these fields should be, you'll really start to get it. And how I first got it was from Mehran Keshi, a third generation nuclear physicist scientist of Iran. His father was the head nuclear physicist of Iran at one point. Mehran Keshi literally grew up in nuclear reactors as a kid, following around his father and grandfather, who were nuclear physicist scientists working for Iran, at which point, one point of time, his father was the head of it. And so he isn't really taken serious in the West, when in fact, uh, covertly, he 100% is, and that he actually worked 10 years for Bay Systems while living in the UK. Then when I first started interacting with him, he was in um, Belgium, and that he was actually lured there as a setup by essentially the same group that killed Stan Meyer and so many others. And they, I'm not going to go full into the story of that. That's going to be in another disclosure episode on the full dealings and interactions and experiences I had working with the Keshi group. Keshi weekly Zooms of 5 hours twice a week for 5 years straight, with several different working groups within, some breakaway working groups, and where I experienced and helped develop actual uh, insane technologies that, like, you you wouldn't really believe me you got to see it for yourself and experience and how actual easy it is to do these things. And that is yet another disruptive breakthrough technology, the actual plasma fields. And yeah, I'm not gonna say too much to just like could potentially be taken against the rest of the insane claims and uh, mostly evidence that will all be proven, tested, and proven correct theories and methods that I have described here today in this first episode of Dead Man's Switch. What BurnEye's discovered and developed and reinvented over the last decade. And as I'm starting to ramble on, and we're getting to a full hour here, I believe I've given enough information. I think I've covered 6 full disruptive technologies now that I'm fully like I'm ready to write the patents for all of them and developed all of them and have kept quiet on, but feel that my hand has been forced to move and that my with all of this, especially with the quantum matter and nanocircuitry and the understanding of it all, how it works, that I know how to make it all. I'm needing to file the patents on all of it. I'm ready to do so. The fact that Hal Puthoff himself has been looking for essentially me and what I have for 30 years. It's the part China's missing. They have 2/3 of it. They are working with Keshi. Keshi doesn't fully understand it all. And what he says publicly and calls certain things, I'm not sure if that's intentional misdirection, as I have put out some misdirection too, as we all do include it within certain things, just to not give away specific uh, technologies that can be manipulated and used by nefarious forces, and that this is all for the purpose of peace, harmony, and uniting and advancing human civilization and getting rid of the need for conflict, fighting over resources and artificial scarcity, when in fact it can all just come from how you work with water and metals and salts. It is advanced ancient alchemy, cold fusion, and this is the end of BurnEye's Dead Man's Switch episode 1 recording being uploaded privately to a bunch of channels that you do not have permission to publish this unless I am dead or Jeremiah is dead or we have been disappeared for a certain amount of time, and do not share this with others without our permission. And that literally what I am saying is honest to God truth. I have proof of it all, as does Jeremiah, and what I have covered in here is just a fraction of what we've developed and been working on. And it is all coming out. It's more than us just two. It's large groups of several independent working groups all coming together, all responsible for your amazing breakthroughs, and that we wouldn't have all gotten here without you together, and everything that everyone has contributed and developed into this. And we have reached the point of mass, critical mass. We've reached critical mass, and it is inevitable. And I know in my heart we are doing God's work and will, and for the good will of mankind. And that's enough of this. Love you all, and hopefully this gets published once everything's declassified and we're all still alive together. Much love, respect.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just burning.